Hi guys, we're here with Nolan North, Nathan Drake himself. Nolan, nice to meet you. How's it going?
Going well, thanks. Good to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming. We're going to play through a little bit of Uncharted and just have a little chat with you, if that's okay.
Yeah. It's I have no objections. But you just can't die.
I can't promise I'm not going to die, I'm afraid.
Uh-oh.
We'll just have to do that really quickly.
Oh, this is this is in the prison.
Yeah, so
there he is.
You speak a little bit of Spanish in this. Did you learn any Spanish or?
Sí, yo hablo español. Yo entiendo más o menos, sí.
So, yes?
It means I speak Spanish.
Okay.
Yes, I understand it a little bit more. Yeah, no, I actually do. It's the one language I can speak.
Oh, really?
I can fake all languages, but I can technically speak Spanish, so yeah.
That's amazing. So you were just telling us about Christopher Walken. It's basically a language in and of itself, right?
Yeah, well, everyone loves Christopher Walken's impression. So many people do it. A lot of people do it well. But it doesn't matter how good or bad you are at that impression, as long as you can find the cadence that he speaks with. Because if anybody was just doing a Christopher Walken impression, but the cadence wasn't there, it wouldn't be as exciting. But when you put in the cadence, right, it's weird, man. It goes up and down, all over the place. Wow! Uncharted game. And it's animated or not, they look real. I think this ghost in hand.
It's phenomenal.
Anything you want to say. You can say anything, just rhythm it up.
That's so cool.
That's all. Nathan Drake can say, we have to get to Elena. If we don't, then bad guys are going to win. That would be Nathan Drake.
Was that Nathan doing an impression of Christopher Walken?
No, that was Nathan doing an impression of Walken's cadence.
Right.
It's just this, which basically is no cadence. It's got no rhyme or reason.
It just is.
It just is, and there's a beauty to that I love.
So tell us what you're here in England for today, because you're around for a little while.
Yeah, well, there's a few things. I came over because I'm a first-time producer on a mobile game called Con Man. Mm-hmm. And Con Man, the game, is based on a TV series I'm doing now with Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion and a whole host of others. And just trying to get the word out to the UK and all of Europe and all the fans that are out there that have followed me as Nathan Drake, because it's kind of a new foray for me, to jump into the producer side of the table. The show itself will be available in the UK and Europe in December. So they'll get to see the live action show. It's a comedy. It's really funny, called Con Man, with Alan Tudyk, Nathan Fillion, Felicia Day, Mindy Sterling, and a bunch of Alan's good friends. And it actually has a bit of an Uncharted connection, because Alan Tudyk was originally supposed to be in Uncharted 4, and over the years I created this persona, this other character called Jerry Lansing, and it was just fooling around with my castmates, and he was just this pompous motion capture guy who felt like he invented motion capture before the technology even existed, and he always bags on Andy Serkis because he feels like he taught Andrew, a young Andrew, I taught him everything he knows, but he got all the credit. And Alan had a script, Con Man, and he had a different character, but he fell in love with it, and thank God he hired me to come do it with him. So we've actually brought a character that I was just playing around with, and brought him to life. I mean, during this scene, Jerry Lansing was there. This is the scene where we're fighting in the prison. And
so which one is he then?
Well, it was just me, but in between takes. And Jerry couldn't ever be. So in between takes, I would start making things up about, I used to do some Cambodian knife fighting as a young child. Just literally just ad-libbing and making things up just to make my castmates laugh. And then it found its place. And then Con Man goes well, and one of the things we wanted to do with it is turn it into a mobile game, where it's based on you build your own convention, your own comic convention, and you kind of manage it. It's kind of Sims type game, and it's
Yeah.
been great. There you go. You're not even looking, and you're beating the crap out of these guys.
I'm just hammering square, and it's sort of going well for me. So Uncharted 4's been finished for a little while. What have you been up to other than Conman at the minute?
Well, on camera-wise, we finished up last season of Pretty Little Liars for the fans of that out there, which is strange for me because it's become such a huge hit globally.
Yeah.
But and people, I've been recognized in the streets in Dublin for that, and Belfast when I was in Ireland, and here in London, I was taking some pictures with people, and I have such a limited role because, the girls are older now. They don't need dad walking around. It's in Chad Lowe, one of the other actors who plays one of the parents. He said it was never called Pretty Little Parents.
That's true.
It was just those little liars, and now they're not so little.
That'd be a very different show. I think it's called Pretty Little Parents.
Yeah, I don't think the ratings would be quite as high. But no, it's so we've been doing that. There have been a few other games and a lot of animation. Blaze and the Monster Machines is one of my new favorites that I do, where I'm this little talking truck that educates kids about math and science, something that I personally know nothing about. Which is, so it's a bit ironic that, come on, count with me. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll count by fives. Start at 15. Of course, I need the script. I can't count by five.
So do you find that you get recognized quite a lot? Because most people will know you through your voice, not necessarily your face. Is that like a blessing and a curse, or?
Well, I never really got into the business to be famous. It just never really appealed to me because, you can grab a gun and go on a rooftop and become famous pretty quick. But so it really never really meant anything to me. I just wanted to work. I just wanted to be able to do this. And I have some friends who are pretty famous for pretty recognizable actors, and there's a couple of them, they can't go anywhere really, and that's hard. I mean, there's a trade-off. They have some great roles and they get some great opportunities, but at the same time, I think their personal life is compromised a bit. Mine isn't like that. I mean, and especially for the gamers out there, if you recognize me as a gamer, you're a hardcore gamer probably, because most people don't know the faces of the voices behind them. Especially since Nate is not my exact look. Yeah. As time's gone on, he looks a lot more and more like me. But in fact, for Uncharted 4, they mapped my face and then basically laid that skin of my face over his bone structure, his virtual bone structure. So technically, that's my. By the way, that's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Horror, right? Yeah, it's terrifying. It's a skin suit. It's just a. But that's literally my face. There's pictures where like these wrinkles by my eyes are in his when they squint. It's amazing the technology that they were able to do.
So has it been like that since the first Uncharted, where it's like your face mapped, or is it just a recent thing?
No, that was Uncharted 4.
Right.
It was always done. There was a great designer at Naughty Dog named Eric Baldwin. He's not one of the Baldwins. He's the better of all of them, though. But he's a genius, and for the first few Uncharted, the first three, he did all the facial animation by hand.
Really?
Yeah, and we never used the helmets, cams, or anything. And I mean, the quality was still, amazing. I think the quality. Quite personally, I think the quality was just as good in 3 for some of the facial stuff because of Eric and his talent.
Yeah.
But I think the facial cameras certainly made his job a lot easier because there was so much more for him to do, and then he could put his talents to some of the smaller, refined things, which make 4 look astonishing.
Yeah.
But I don't like to. I like to make sure he gets credit because he, so much of what the facial animation looked like was because of him and his team. and I think he deserves all the credit in the world.
Yeah.
So.
So just spoiler warning, by the way, we're going to just quickly discuss what happens towards the end of Uncharted 4. If people haven't played it, why? Go and play it, and then come back.
If they haven't played it by now?
Yeah.
If you haven't played this game by now, you deserve a spoiler.
Exactly. So the way that it finished, was that something that you were happy with? Did you like the ending? Was it somewhere where you saw it going?
Yeah, I think it had to. People say, "Well, come on, do an Uncharted 5," and the big thing about that was you certainly don't want to jump the shark, so to speak.
Yeah.
As they say, you don't want to do, Drake goes to the moon, Drake in Atlantis. I mean, just the things that of course, that's the next thing. So to go out on top was smart.
Yeah.
And I remember people always ask, "Well, do you die in the end?" And I always say, well, it depends on how good a player you are. But of course not. This was a pulp action game that it's supposed to be a good adventure romp. It never was supposed to be this dark, brooding type of thing. So I think the only way it can end is I think we're in a cynical world where it's like, oh, you have to have the wrapped up happy ending. It's like, why not? Can't we just have those in some of our games? We don't have to have, where things don't work out. Things worked out at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, for better or worse.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. I think there's always a place for those things in movies and games where they end on a certain note, but this had to end with a happy ending, and I think it did. He's got the love of his life in Elena, and spoiler alert, a daughter, and they've found a way as a family to continue all their treasure hunting pursuits in a legitimate manner. They're on the covers of magazines now. It's the family that treasures together stays together.
Yeah.
I made that up. I don't know if that's right, but that's the idea. And then also, a lot of people say, "Oh, does that mean his daughter's going to be Uncharted 5?" I'm like, well, that's kind of called Tomb Raider. I don't know if that would happen, but you never know.
Yeah. I mean, would you love to do more with Nate? I mean, even spin-off games, or if they did ever do a fifth? I mean, obviously you are him, so.
I don't think I could. I don't think I could. I don't think I could say no. How would I say no? I mean, people would be. People would lose their minds. They're like, "No, I'm done with it." No, I mean, but didn't they just get Daniel Craig back for Bond? No, I'm sticking around if they want me. I just don't think they do. I don't think that, and that's okay. As the actor side of me, that was something that I created, so I have an emotional ownership to it. But in terms of when people talk about the movie, I absolutely would do the movie, but there's no way the motion picture business, which works off of cute ratings and values of their celebrities, whatever, just wouldn't happen. They just would never allow me to do that kind of thing.
Who would be your ideal Nate in a movie then?
Oh God, people ask me this all the time.
I'm asking you again.
Well, I thought, they said Chris Pratt was great.
That's a good shout.
But he was offered the role, and what he did with Star-Lord was very Nathan Drake. So while he'd be great, he's already done it. So why would that be interesting? I worked on Star Trek Into Darkness, and I've always maintained that I think Chris Pine would be great. He's smart. He's a really good actor, a very thoughtful actor, and he's got a great sense of humor about him. And we're about the same size, because I was like, physically he can do it. There is lead cinematic animator Eric Baldwin.
There you go. I skipped completely over.
No, but it's.
Apologize for him.
So I think that, and I liked him, and I worked with him, and I have some friends who who know him personally. So
yeah,
I think he's. But who knows when this gets made, what it would do. He's just. I've always liked him.
Yeah.
And I think that he's got those blue eyes. I mean, Nate has he got the brown eyes. Nate has those big blue eyes. So.
Well, did you see the news today? I mean, you probably know better than we do, that one of the directors from a couple of episodes of Stranger Things has been attached to Uncharted now?
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I did, actually. And I know the writer, Joe Carnahan. I actually had dinner with Joe.
Oh, yeah?
It was, I'm sure he's going to deliver a solid script. I think Joe Carnahan was a really good choice. And, you know, he's, the big mistake that I think some of the previous versions that I heard about, I might be completely wrong, but they were trying to remake the same story that we had done in the game.
Yeah.
And my take is like, you know, take the characters, but put them on a new adventure. Because too many people think, well, this is a movie in itself, where, you know, the fans are the actual leading man. And, you know, whether you're a male or female player, you're the leading man. You are Nathan Drake. So I think there's an emotional attachment to the character because, you know, we play as him. I mean, maybe I was the actor in the suit, moving, jumping, doing all this stuff, but you know, we play as him. So I think there's a connection there. So
yeah.
And I think script-wise, I think Joe's gonna nail it. I think he's perfect for this.
Good. So it's got your backing, really.
Yeah, well, of course it does. You know, in anything, you know, people talk about, well, you know, if somebody else plays the Joker besides Mark Hamill, you know, nobody owns these characters. We just kind of embody them for a while, even if it's something that, you know, you've created. And, you know, I can't really say I created Nathan Drake. It was Amy Hennig. I mean, it was her brainchild. It was her baby. And I've said this before, but, you know, I'm blessed that she gave birth to this character and allowed me to help raise him, so to speak, because she created this whole world that people played for the last 10 years. It came out of her head.
Yeah.
You know, and who the character is, and she was the one who invited me to put as much of myself into the character as possible. And yeah, it's very humbling that people out there found him to be, you know, so endearing for so long, and that's a testament to, you know, to what she created and what I helped along, I guess, and all everybody that was involved in it. It's a very collaborative effort, and yeah, it's cool. But we don't own it, you know. So somebody else just takes that baton and moves on. That's fine.
Yeah. So speaking of Amy Hennig, she's at Visceral working on a Star Wars game in the minute. We don't really know anything about it. Do you know what's going on with that at all?
I know that it's, I think my friend Todd Stashwick is actually, I think he's writing alongside her. Don't know too many details about it, but
yeah,
you know, she knows where I am. You know, if she wants to call me for that, I'll answer the phone.
So you'd 100% be down for doing something Star Wars?
I owe so much of my career to her. If she wanted me to do a video game reading the telephone book, I would do that. And she, you know, she's a dear friend. She's an incredible talent, and yeah, she knows I'm her Huckleberry.
Speaking of Star Wars, just for a brief second, you worked with J.J. Abrams briefly on Star Trek, right?
Yeah, well, because he was a fan of this series, you know, that's why he just invited me to come on to do like, I think it was 10 days of work.
Yeah,
I think I was there for basically 2 weeks, spread out over 2 weeks. It was amazing.
So any possibilities? I mean, I know he's not doing it anymore, but are you jumping into a Star Wars film further down the line?
Again, they know I'm available. I mean, I don't think any actor on the planet would say no to something Star Wars. Yeah, you know, I remember the last time I talked with JJ. He was a fan, and he was so very effusive with praise, and I really appreciated that. It gives you a lot of confidence when someone that you admire so much, also admires whatever talent you may have. And you know, we always talked about working together again. But
really?
He got very busy, and you know, but I think that will happen someday. I hope so. I don't know what it'll be on, but again, he's another one of those people that The funny thing with J.J. Abrams is I didn't even realize how much of a fan I was of his until after meeting him and kind of doing a little bit of research. And because one of my favorite movies and one of the first times I ever had an inkling to be an actor was after seeing a movie called Regarding Henry with Harrison Ford. And because Harrison Ford was, that's Indiana Jones, that's Han Solo. And then he played this lawyer who gets shot and loses his memory, and it's a great movie. J.J. Abrams wrote that in college. Yeah,
that's mad.
And I had never known that, and then when I got to work with him, and I never actually got to tell him about this, but it was one of my favorite movies. He's actually in it too as a delivery boy. He delivers the food to Harrison Ford's apartment. And it's just, but he's as genuine a human being as you can imagine. I was speaking to some film students here in London. They had me kind of speak to them in a class over at Ealing Studios, and I talked about how if you want to follow someone's lead, follow J.J. Abrams. It doesn't have to be your style of directing or anything like that, but as a human being, he was somebody I will always admire. He knew everybody's name on that set. He never raised his voice in anger. I'm sure there were some frustrating times, but he just kept everything so light, easy, and you could see him. He was like that kid in your neighborhood when you get all your friends together, and he's the most organized. Like if you're playing Super Friends, JJ would be the one. Go. Do you need a cape? I have an extra one. I'll go home and get that. Who's got that? What are we doing? Okay, these are the teams. He's that guy, and I only wish that I could. I want to do something in a bigger capacity with him. Because you watch him working with Chris Pine and Benedict Cumberbatch and Simon Pegg in that movie, and just so much respect, and there was such a good feeling on that set. And when you get that opportunity to be on there with people like that and the talent like that, it's addictive. You want to do it again. So I hope, that's I really want to collaborate with him again in a bigger capacity and show him what I can do.
That's amazing. So obviously, just to change the subject completely.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's go. Let's bounce around.
Yeah. So you are Nathan Drake. That's what you're best known for. If you could have been in any other game or movie, who would you have liked, or what series would you have liked to have been in?
A game or movie?
Yeah.
Game-wise, I am such a fan of my fellow actors and what they do, and I don't really covet those roles. Like for me, Steve Bloom is Wolverine. And he just has that voice, and he does such a great job. It's like there's nothing I wouldn't do. I think there's so many great games and great characters. I don't know, and I don't want to sound. I don't want to sound terrible here, but it's like I've had an opportunity to play a lot of different characters. So it's, my thing in terms of gaming is always trying to find the next kind of interesting thing that comes along. But oh God, if you're talking about movies, I mean, where do you start? I would westerns. I love the Sergio Leone westerns. I would love to do a western. Clint Eastwood and all those movies. I always want to do a western and a World War II type.
That'd be interesting.
Type thing. I'm a big history buff, and I think that's really interesting. One of my favorite roles I've ever done in a game is Call of Duty 2, and I was Sergeant Randall, just the guy that meets you on Omaha Beach as you're storming the beaches of Normandy. And I'm like, this way, and it's just all that. And I'm like, get in the hedgerows, and it's just, you're just running around. And I remember playing that till about. It was one of the first games I ever played. And I remember sitting down, and my wife kind of walked in. She goes, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "What?" She goes, "It's 6 a.m." And I had started at about 6:30 at night. It was awful.
Wow.
That's why I don't play games very much, because I just would grow a beard and be sitting in a puddle of my own filth.
That's what we do.
Just won't get up. By the way, I don't know if there people are watching, but we just kind of seem to be looking off. They do know you're playing the game, right? You can't hear it or anything.
Yeah. It's fine, actually.
But because otherwise it just looks like we're ignoring each other.
Yeah, well, that's what we said before. It's like just ignore each other as much as possible and look straight ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wanted to skip through just to this bit because this is my personal after this where you're at home with Elena.
Oh, you don't like that? Oh, you like the...
Yeah, that's my favorite scene. So I just wanted to skip us through to that and just talk about the characters.
This is it right here, right? Or is this...
oh yeah, of course he's in his loft, isn't he?
No. I think it's the office. No, it's his attic. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know what the others are.
So I think this game, more than any other in the Uncharted series, you see the real humanity of Drake and Elena and Sully. And did you see it ever coming to this? I mean, was the arc going that way, that he would become this really likable character, family man sort of guy?
Yeah, because I think that's, I think that's always been hinted at. Like, does he have to, what's he going to do? Where do you go? Does he always? I think he became so endearing to the audience that they wanted to see something more personal, and that was the idea behind all this, I guess. It's funny, you just walk around exploring his attic.
Yeah, like I said, this is one of my favorite bits, just because it really slows everything down and just lets you have a look at his life. It's really cool.
Yeah, and it's really hasn't been, never really was done much. I just think he should have like a box of passports. But I like, it's funny when you walk around and you see that kind of stuff. You're like, look at all the sleeping bags, and you never have seen that. I think that tells a story, because you think about all the adventures they have. You never see them stop to sleep necessarily. I mean, unless they pass out or something. But yeah, but of course he's never, and toy gun, he has to hit things.
Kind of a dick.
By the way, here's a cool thing. I've done this in my house. I've had Nerf wars with my kids.
Yeah, well, we've got
I always win.
A big Nerf war.
And I don't let them win. I don't think it's fair. I'm gonna have to learn hard. You do?
Yeah, we'll go play with that a little bit later. So your kids, are they big fans of Uncharted?
They are. Yeah. No. They both have played. My older son really has grown up with it. My younger one is a big fan of Destiny.
Okay.
And, he was a fan of that before I came on board. And, but he's been a fan of that because his friends are into it, and it's, again, we were talking about this earlier. That idea that people. Games are so social. You can put those headphones on. You're talking to your buddies. And actually, I was. Somebody told me a story that was really pretty amazing. That met soldiers from fighting in Afghanistan in the Middle East, and they met Steve Bloom, who I work with on the Call of Duty Zombies. Mm-hmm. And he said that they were telling him how much they appreciate him and my performance and Fred Tatasciore or Tom Kane, because when they play after going out on maneuvers, carrying a real gun all day, shooting it in firefights, they come back and play. And he was like, "No way, you do." And it turns out they said that it helps them feel normal out there. And it was really interesting because he said every now and then we'd get a signal, a satellite signal, where we could go and some of us play with our kids, or we play with our friends back home. And I never really thought of that in in that sense of we're actually doing something that really has a human element to it. Where I never thought, oh, it's just a game, whatever. We're just but no, so it was very rewarding, and to find that out like that, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, it's like what we were saying earlier about how they couldn't have killed Drake at the end because he's almost like a friend to people. It would have been so heartbreaking to see him die.
Yeah, again, it's not that type of game. It's like he's not that flawed character that needs to has to go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah.
You know, this is great. You know, I haven't seen this in a while.
Oh, really? This is my
We're
favorite
looking at this
scene.
scene. We're in the couch with Elena having some dinner.
Yeah. When I was playing through this at home the other day, I don't remember seeing like characters eating like this as like a family before in like an action game. It's just mad. And it's where you get to play Crash Bandicoot in a minute, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
That was a nice little touch. Naughty Dog threw in there.
Did they tell you they were going to do that? Because you do Dr. Engine as well. Is that in the later ones?
Yes, I did think in the later ones, Dr. Engine. It was just basically my tribute to Peter Lorre. Yes.
It's like Peter Lorre, Ren Hoek from Ren and Stimpy, kind of mashed up into something. That was an early game that I did, and I remember having so much fun with that.
Yeah. So it was. They didn't tell you that they were going to put it in, did they? Into this.
Well, no. We knew. You know, we just basically sat there in our suits, and they just played. You know, they taped someone playing Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
And you know, so we just pretended to play and just ad-libbed and commented on it.
Did you play a lot of Crash Bandicoot when it was around in the late?
Yeah,
late
well,
90s?
I remember playing the game. No, earlier, yeah. I remember it from a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I remember with this one, it was the last time I played it was when I was with Dr. Engine, because I wanted. It was early. I was like, I want to hear what that sounds like. This was a cool scene.
It was a really good scene.
The funny thing is, people always ask me about the kiss at the end of this.
Oh, yeah?
And it's funny because we have these helmets on and like a bar with the camera and the lights out front. So you physically can't get to the other person's face. So we actually had to do it, get to that position about the kiss, and get there and stop. And then have to redo the whole scene with that off, and they had to re-marker everything. And then actually go in and actually do a real kiss. So it's just bizarre. It's so sexy, you know, it's such a romantic, sexy scene. It looks like it is, but, you know, when you're in a big gray room wearing those ridiculous outfits and markers, computers, and cameras all around, it's not. That's the beauty of faking it like that.
Yeah.
But it's very cool.
I'm gonna see if I can skip this real quick because I know, but I want you to play this.
Oh no!
If you can, just indulge me. So you know the buttons, right?
No.
No?
What jumps?
X.
Right.
And square is do the spin attack, and that's pretty much all you need to know.
See, I'm literally. This was not hard to act on because you have no patience. When you turn something on, you expect it to. Oh, okay. Here we go.
So when you did the VO for this, were you just watching this and speaking?
Yeah. Is that a problem? No, no. Just see, I literally am doing. You make it go. I remember doing it. Push the start button. Yeah, I know. Start.
I think you have to use the D-pad, by the way.
What?
This one.
Right. What?
There you go.
Oh, I see. Here we go. No. There we go. I'm not bad at it. Oh, it crushed my head. Oh, I see what I'm saying.
There you go. Yeah. You're good at this. You've been practicing. Oh,
what?
Tell a lie.
No, I didn't. He did. You did, but no, that's not realistic. I would have climbed back up. See, I made that up. I remember that. You should learn to climb. Climbing's always helped me.
Was a lot of this ad-libbed?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I should crush those barrels, right? And now, I don't know if I've ever gotten through.
Oh, really? That's all right. You've only got like 2 lives anyway, so you won't be stuck here forever. You'll just fail. I don't think. I mean, I've never done it, but I don't think it's possible to. I don't think it's possible to beat Elena's score on this. I could be wrong. It's just maybe I'm just that bad. Ah, flattened.
No, but see, so this really trick. Oh, I see what's going on.
Yeah, you got to get all the Wumpa fruit.
But am I timed?
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's all right. If you don't make
Come
it
on,
this time,
come
we'll,
on
we'll
now.
put you out of your misery. It gets harder as well further down.
So you can actually play a Crash Bandicoot here.
Only this little bit, yeah.
Come on now. It is. I don't need to.
You're doing it. Oh, you hit the checkpoint, good. There's going to be some moving platforms in a minute.
Hold on. I need one. Oh my God! I didn't think I could get through that whole. All right.
All right. Well, you did. You did okay. Not gonna have a go
That
at you
score's
for it.
3,500, and I got 470.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think you can beat that, but
See, hold on. I got to do that.
okay. Thank you. All right. Well, I think that's probably a good place to wrap it up, guys. We've got some a little reward for getting this far. If you just share, comment, like this video, we'll get Nolan
They call me Nathan.
to sign some posters or something, and we'll get them sent out to you. Just thanks for sticking around with us all day.
Yes, and make sure you go and download. Free to download. Con-Man the game. Google Play, iTunes, App Store, whatever it is. Enjoy.
Great. Well, we'll end on a kiss. Thank you for joining us.
We're not going to kiss, are we?
Well, we can do.
I don't like beards.